Hey, fancy listeners. Franchesca Hampton here, and I am honored that you took time to tune in once again. And I'm committed to sharing content that will make you glad you did. So, welcome to the Fancy Thoughts Podcast, a weekly podcast designed to give you perspective, insight, and encouragement to release the greatness inside of you. I want you to live fancy life, where you are fostering achievement, never compromising you, because someone is waiting for you. All right, now, before we get into this week's Fancy Thoughts, let's remind ourselves what we talked about last week. So last week, our topic was help. We were talking about knowing that it is okay. As a matter of fact, it is imperative to be free to cry out for help, to allow someone else to help alleviate your burden by giving you assistance. Even more so, we mentioned that you have to know that there are people who have been designed and purposely placed in your life to help you by giving you what is necessary to accomplish your task or satisfy your needs. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to that, make sure you go back to episode 16 and remind yourself that it is okay to ask for help. Now, let's get into this week's Fancy Thought. For episode 17, I am excited to talk with you about celebrating the small victories. That is what our Fancy Thought is about today. I'm going to say it again. Celebrate the small victories. As we've been talking about all these different things on how we want to release greatness, how we want to allow the greatness that's on the inside of us to come forth, to influence those that we have been created to influence, to allow others to receive what's on the inside of us because we recognize someone is waiting for us. As we continue to move in that direction, sometimes it's really easy to get stuck in the next thing we need to do, to get laser focused in on what it is that we need to do next and not recognize the things that we have accomplished along the way. And so with that, again, I want to remind you to celebrate the small victories. If you're anything like me, if you are task oriented, detail minded, if you want to accomplish things, if you're driven by accomplishment, driven by completing tasks, sometimes you can get stuck. I'll speak for myself. There are many times I get stuck because I'm like, okay, what is it that I need to be doing? What is it that I need to accomplish in order to get to the next place? Or if I have a goal, all right, what are the steps that I need to take to accomplish that goal? What needs to be in place? What needs to be accomplished? What needs to be knocked out? And even as I'm knocking those different things out, I'm always focused on the next one. I want to stay ahead of the curve. I want to stay ahead of I want to stay ahead of the game. I want to make sure I'm moving forward always, never staying stagnant. And although that has served me well in accomplishing many different things, there are times that I realize that it's also stopped me from appreciating where I am as well as what I have accomplished. Many times we focus so much on the big thing that needs to be done. Right? Let's say that, again, here's a great example I've been using over the past few weeks about working out. So let's say you want to work out and you want to lose 20 pounds. And so you get started, and for the first couple of weeks, you're stepping on the scale and it's not moving. Or if it's moving, it's minor, like a 0.5 or, 1 pound, over a short period of time. And so it's easy to get laser focused and say, okay, I am going to get this done. I'm going to get down to my goal size. I'm going to lose the weight that I'm trying to lose. And although that's a great accomplishment and it's a great goal, along the way, you're actually doing things that you may not have done before. Since I'm talking about myself, let me give you an example. I know when I first started out, I easily got defeated because I was like, I see nothing. Right? I wasn't seeing the pounds drop off. I wasn't seeing my dress sizes completely decrease. And so my first thing was I need to go and find something else that's going to help me because this is not going as fast as I wanted to. But as I mentioned once before, I didn't get the weight overnight. So why did I think I would lose the weight overnight? So I had to readjust the way that I was looking at it. And so what I began to do is week over week, I wasn't gaining weight. All right. That's a success. I began to look at different things. Okay, well, I'm noticing that I'm feeling stronger. I have more energy, right? The exercises that I used to do in the beginning that were difficult are now becoming a lot easier for me to accomplish. That's success. That is something to celebrate. And the more that I began to recognize the small victories, the more I was motivated and determined to keep going, because it wasn't just where I was going to end up at the end. It's the progress that I'm making along the way. And so we have to be able to look at where we are today. And although there may be a destination that we're trying to reach or a goal that we're trying to accomplish, we can't be so focused on that end goal that we miss out on all of the successes and the victories that we're accomplishing along the way. Because we know everyone gets discouraged at some point in time, whether it's because you're not seeing the results that you wanted to see, or you may look at someone else and they're experiencing different results in a shorter period of time, or whatever it may be. It's easy to get distracted and discouraged. For example, I'm on an eating plan. And I don't want to do a diet because I don't want to do some type of restriction that I'm not going to keep up in the future. I want to change the way that I'm eating in a healthier way such that I will continue to do that for the rest of my life. But let's say a Saturday or a Tuesday or whatever day it is, I mess up. I eat something that I said I wasn't going to eat, or I eat more than I said that I was going to eat. If I focus on simply maintaining this particular type of eating style for the rest of my life, I can easily be discouraged because here I go again, eating more than I said I was going to eat, or eating things I said I wasn't going to eat. Instead of recognizing that before this day, I have eaten differently, more healthy than I have in years. I have reduced my portion sizes. I have cut out certain sugars. I've done all these different things. And so often we can get focused in on either the end goal or the mess ups that we make along the way and forget the things that we've accomplished up until that point or throughout the process. So again, I'm trying to bring this home to you that we have to celebrate the small victories. We have to be willing to acknowledge what we have accomplished up to this point and be glad about it. Be happy about it. Be willing to celebrate it in whatever way that works best for you. Because again, if you don't, you will be so focused in on your end result that you will miss out on all of the blessings and the great things that have accomplished or that have happened along the way. So to drive this point home, of course, you know what I want to do. I want to look at the dictionary. So what does celebrate actually mean? Because I think sometimes the idea seems so big and so, over the top that sometimes that's the reason why we don't want to do it. It's like, no, I'll celebrate when I reach my goal. No, I'll make a big deal of it when I reach my goal. But when we look at the simplicity of what it means to celebrate, I think it might help us to recognize it's okay to do it at any given time. So to celebrate, according to the Collins Dictionary, means to rejoice in or to have special festivities to mark a happy day, an event, etc. Right? So I took it a little bit deeper and looked at the word rejoice. So I can restate that definition by saying to rejoice in or to feel or express great joy or happiness to mark a happy day or an event. That doesn't seem that big of a deal. To celebrate means just to feel or express great joy to mark a happy day or an event, which means that you can do it any day. You can do it after anything. You can do it at any time, right? It simply means that you're expressing great joy or happiness, right? So I can go through a whole day and say, you know what? I ate what I wanted to eat. I did not eat the things I said I wasn't going to eat. And at the end of the day, I can take a moment to rejoice. I can take a moment to express great joy. I can take a moment to celebrate because this is a happy day. Why would I want to do that? That seems so frivolous. That seems so silly. But instead, it actually helps me to enjoy every single day. Because guess what? You have one life and tomorrow is not promised. And while you're waiting for that end goal, that final result, that final accomplishment, reaching the epitome of that goal, you are missing out on life. You are missing out on the great things that are happening. And when you do that for yourself, you can also do that for others because there are people that are in your network. There are people in your sphere of influence who probably need to celebrate as well. And they would want to and welcome that celebration with someone else. Now, does that mean that you're going to walk around every day going, woohoo, I accomplished something? Why not? Who said that you shouldn't? Who said that that's silly? Who told you that? Who told you that you couldn't? Who told you that doing that is silly? Who told you that doing that diminishes your accomplishments? Because it doesn't. Another definition of celebrate is simply to mark a happy occasion by engaging in some pleasurable activity. Once again, if I go through a whole week, let's say, and I have eaten all the things that I wanted to eat, I have not eaten the things that I didn't want to eat, and I have stayed in the portion sizes that I said I was going to stay in, at the end of the week, I can engage in some pleasurable activity. They actually say that you should have a cheat day. Why? If you consistently deprive yourself of things with the idea that you can never have them, that is the easiest way to set yourself up for a crash. Right? Because you're saying you can't have that. Don't do that. You're gross if you do that. You're despicable if you do that. And all that does is set yourself up for failure and disappointment and consistently criticizing yourself. So for example, maybe my pleasurable activity is to have some ice cream. Now, maybe I won't eat the same size that I used to, but it's okay for me to do that. And it's a way to mark my happy occasion. Or let's say I do something else. Let's say, okay, if we make it through this, at the end of the week, we're going to go hang out. We're going to go for a walk. We're going to go for a hike. We're going to go do something pleasurable because you know what? I accomplished this week's goal. Instead of trying to focus in on, I'm going to lose those 20 pounds. I'm excited for what I accomplished this week. And maybe you don't struggle with food, so that example doesn't really resonate with you. But let's say that you're working towards a financial goal. Let's say that you're saying, you know what? I want to get out of debt, or I want to save a certain amount of money by a certain amount of time. And again, that process is not overnight. It's going to take some time. If you only focus on celebrating when you finally get to that, you again don't acknowledge the success and the progress that you've made along the way. So is it possible that after if you said, I'm going to save up, I'm just going to throw a number out there, I'm going to save up $2,000 in 3 months. And so at the end of the first month, you saved up a certain amount of money. You could say, well, I'm not there yet, so there's no reason to celebrate. But if I'm not mistaken, you weren't saving that money before. Otherwise, this wouldn't be a goal. So the fact that you were able to save anything is moving you in the direction that you want to go in. Now, maybe you may need to make some tweaks, or maybe you may need to do something if you're not progressing in the speed that you want to. But you can still celebrate that you're doing something better than you used to do before. And you mark it by a happy occasion. Maybe if you were a spender and you're now trying to reduce your spending habits, maybe you can choose to buy something that's of a small amount to celebrate that you've been moving forward, right? So if you used to go spend, it doesn't have to be great. You can go and buy a pair of socks, right? It's just something to say, you know what? I did this. And here's something to celebrate myself. Here's something to celebrate what I accomplished. Again, because the way that our bodies are, we like rewards. We like acknowledgement of doing good things, whether it be from other people or ourselves. And so you have to find a way to celebrate yourself along the way. Again, don't wait till the end. Celebrate today, because tomorrow's not promised. Now, we said celebrate the small victories. So maybe in these different examples that I've been giving you, you haven't found something that sounds to you like it's worthy of celebrating. So let's look at the word victory. Now, victory, according to the Collins Dictionary, is simply success in any contest or struggle involving the defeat of an opponent or the overcoming of obstacles. We're not going to talk about defeating opponents in this particular episode. So let's focus on overcoming of obstacles. So let me say the definition again. It's the success in any contest or struggle involving the overcoming of obstacles. Now, can you look at your life and determine or declare that there have been any type of obstacles that you've overcome? Any kind of them. Maybe it was, holding in your temper when you were in a situation where your buttons were pushed the way they normally were, but this time your reaction was much calmer, much more patient, and much more kind. That's a reason to celebrate. Or let's say, again, using any of the examples before, that you are changing up your eating habits and you were tempted to eat a whole cake and instead you ate 1 or 2 slices. Or let's say you've been trying to work out and normally you wouldn't work out at all, and this week you worked out twice. Those are reasons to celebrate because they are victories. They are areas where you had success overcoming an obstacle, overcoming a challenge or a temptation or a trial. It is a reason to celebrate. There are moments in your life every single day where you overcome obstacles. And if you can learn to see them as victories, you can begin to rejoice, express great joy or happiness in the fact that you overcame them. Why? Because you need to be able to celebrate yourself. You need to recognize that you are awesome and you are slaying it every single day. You are. So many times, I don't know about you, but I know for myself, I am very hard on myself. I am hard on myself when I make mistakes. I'm hard on myself when I miss out on something, or when I do something wrong, or when I forgot to do something. I'm hard on myself when I said I wanted to do one thing and I ended up doing something else. I am very hard on myself. And the challenge with that is it makes me very hard on other people, because the reality is I hold them to the same standard I hold myself to. And so what that makes me is very critical of people, because I'm very critical of myself. And so one of the ways that I'm learning to overcome that criticality, to overcome that perfectionist attitude, to overcome that self-criticism all the time, is to celebrate my victories. Celebrate those moments where I have had success overcoming obstacles. And then I can look at others and I can celebrate them too. I can look and give everyone, including myself, freedom to make a mistake, freedom to mess up, because I'm gonna do it. But I can also look at myself and celebrate those moments where I did well. Here's another definition of victory. It is success or superior position achieved against any opponent, opposition, or difficulty. You are slaying it every day. And every day you have either taken a superior position against some type of opposition, or you have had success against a difficulty. You need to celebrate that. It doesn't have to be that you throw a party. It doesn't have to be that you go out and do something grandiose. It doesn't have to be something that's grand. It doesn't have to be something that's over the top. You can take a 30-second break and celebrate, because all it means to celebrate is to express great joy or happiness. That's it. So I am going to encourage you and challenge you this week. As you go throughout this week, I want you to purposely find moments to celebrate small victories. I want you purposely to find moments to express great joy or happiness, because you had success in overcoming an obstacle, because you took a superior position against an opposition or a difficulty, because you slay every day. And I know I've said that a couple of times, but I want you to hear it. I want you to embrace it. I want you to recognize that I'm talking about you. You, the person that's listening on the other side of this podcast, you do this every day, and you have been hard on yourself. You have been beating yourself up for all the things that you think that you should have, could have, or would have been doing by now. But I'm here to tell you, you have been doing so much more than you realize. And the best cheerleader you could ever have is you. So I'm encouraging you. Find something. Even today, after you listen to this podcast, find a reason to express great joy over a success that you've had overcoming an obstacle. You have to celebrate you. You have to recognize your greatness. You have to do it first, because someone else is waiting for you. Thank you for joining us for the Fancy Thoughts podcast. I'm Franchesca Hampton, and I look forward to you tuning in again next week. And remember, you are well able, fully capable, and properly equipped to accomplish everything you were created for. So go and make this week a great one.